And we have part 2 of India Today's big special investigation into the Haryana violence lined up on 5 Live this evening. It's a big investigation that for the first time takes you into the actual trigger point for the Mewat communal clashes on Delhi's doorstep. It didn't happen on the ground. In fact, it happened on social media. It happened on the internet. If you're on social media, viewer, you've possibly seen a lot of claims and counterclaims, videos by the Bajrang Dal, videos by Muslim locals in Nuh. Which is correct, which are fake, which are misinformed? We have the facts here on India Today. Suffice it to say that both sides used social medias to fan temperatures to a fever pitch. And it is only understandable that things came to this terrifying pass. I'm going to decode it for you and show you precisely how that happened. But first, as always, here on 5 Live, the headlines. The death toll in the Haryana violence mounts to 6. Chief Minister Khattar vows to make rioters pay for damage, says no information on Monu Manesar's whereabouts. Haryana FIR reveals horrific details, says riotous mob chanted pro-Pakistan slogans and fired at the police. At least 116 persons arrested so far. Top court sends notice to neighbouring Delhi and Uttar Pradesh, asks centre to ensure no hate speech at gatherings. Also orders videography of all protest rallies. But we'll show you how hate speech has been happening in Delhi and UP today. Another shot in the arm for the centre in Parliament after BJP and Jagan's YSRCP. TDP may also back Modi government on the Delhi Services Bill and no trust war. United States charges former President Trump with conspiracy to defraud the country and witness tampering in the 2020 Capitol Hill riots case. Six people have been killed so far in the Haryana communal clashes that started in Nuh on the 31st of July. But the seeds of that unrest were sowed just days before that. And India Today's investigation has revealed that the fires of hate, the fires of provocation were fanned almost exclusively on social media platforms. We're talking about Facebook primarily. We're also talking about Instagram. If there can be two faces to what triggered the horrors in Mewat, take a close look at these two men, viewer, Bittu Bajrangi and Mohammad Samar. It was social media posts like these that raised temperatures to a terrifying degree, resulting in the eruption. Bittu Bajrangi gave the call for the mobilization, putting out videos saying, "Main Mewat aa raha hoon," and warning, "Goli pe goli chalegi." A provocative call was concealed in an invitation to the Bajrang Dal's annual Shobha Yatra in the Mewat region. The provocation triggered a response from a Muslim local in Nuh named Mohammad Samar, who instigated his followers to break limbs and then pretend that the attack was in self-defense. He too called for his followers to bring their own friends to Nuh. So both sides indulged in counter acts of provocation to raise temperatures. They organized. It was a call to arms and a call to numbers. The first seeds, however, viewer, and I want you to listen very carefully to this because this is extremely important. Take a look at this man's photo on your screen. His name is Shaikul Khan, 30 years old. The first seeds of this unrest were planted in a cyber fraud case in Faridabad just a few days ago. Tension escalated when this man in the custody of the Faridabad police for cyber fraud. His name is Shaikul Khan, died in their custody. He had been arrested in a cybercrime case, but he passed away in custody at a hospital in Faridabad. The police claim that the Shaikul Khan was ill at the time of arrest. He died on the 23rd of July. That is 1 week before the Nuh violence actually erupted. It was after the death of Shaikul Khan in custody that Bittu Bajrangi steps in. He puts out a video amplifying how Muslim locals in Nuh had put out their own videos talking about the possibility of an attack on the cybercrime police station. Now, viewer, a little bit of context for you at this point of time is that Nuh has emerged as a cybercrime epicenter in northern India. It is a place from where a number of online scams and crimes have been taking place, and a special cybercrime police station, which was in fact attacked during the course of these riots, is one of the key parts of what happened. But like I told you, the death of a Muslim man in custody on July the 23rd may have been the starting point to a chain reaction that led up to the eruption that you saw on July the 31st, just 8 days later. Ankit Kumar, who's with me live from our newsroom, who's been looking through, this absolute maze of social media posts, has put this story together for us, and you'll be seeing more of it on primetime here on India Today. Ankit, so many claims and counterclaims, so many different, sides finger pointing about who really started it. Your investigation, your story suggests that the death of Shaikul Khan on July the 23rd, in custody of the Faridabad police, may have been some kind of a starting point. It is after that this flurry of social media posts began, Ankit.
Well, Shiv, what we have done here is we have stitched together all the publicly available visual evidences in form of videos, live stream, pictures, and what we can tell is that there were at least two different groups who could be held responsible for what happened in Nuh, Mewat, and in the nearby areas. What we can pinpoint is there are at least two characters. First, Bittu Bajrangi, who was seen in Faridabad. He came out with his supporters after the alleged custodial deaths, and where he demanded strict actions against people from Nuh village, said they were anti-national people, they were involved in inciting crowd. The other side is again a group of people led by one certain Muhammad Samar, who since then has deleted his Instagram account. But if you see his videos, he is giving a counter call for a call to gather in force on 31st. 31st was the day when the unfortunate incident of several riots and violence took place in Nuh and nearby areas. But if you go through all the what was said in the series of 10, 12, 15, 20 videos, you could almost conclude that it was a very public countdown to a large-scale violence that was coming. It was available for anybody to see. It was open to public. It was there to see for the law enforcement agencies. The police could have seen it, and had they acted on time, this kind of violence, this level of destruction, that could have been saved.
And the fact that all these videos, these live streams, these Instagram and Facebook reels, Ankit, were happening in public. These were not private accounts. These were public accounts. Anybody could go and look at them. In fact, just before this broadcast, I was looking at some of those videos of Bittu Bajrangi and Muhammad Samar. It's impossible that this couldn't have come to the notice of cybercrime or the police. It's impossible, Ankit.
That's the big question, because these posts were going viral. If you go through the kind of the traction they have received, there are 200, 300 comments. There are people as if warning each other that they will shoot each other in the comment section. And moments before Bittu Bajrangi was supposed to reach Mewat, he did one last live stream where he said that he was at certain distance, and the language that was used by Bajrangi and the other posts that were made by the other side in the comment section, anybody could have seen that and anticipated a really kind of a devastating event. But unfortunately, Unfortunately, that did not happen. Police did not kind of acted on it. There was some police presence, but the security presence was not to the scale to stop that kind of violence, to handle that kind of emotions that were running high. And this was brewing for past 7 days. It was not as if somebody said something. If you see the first statement made by the police, the superintendent of police, he said that during the course of the Shobha Yatra, some people made certain comments, and the violence started instantly. It was not an instant. It was not an
spontaneous
kind of violence. It was brewing for past 6-7 days.
Yes, a whole week of build-up, a whole week of poison on both sides that has resulted in this terrifying clash in which 6 people have been killed. And this is only part one. This is only a small part of what Ankit has looked into. You'll see the full investigation at 8 p.m. Ankit, thank you for the moment. This is disturbing as it is. 6 people have died. The level of damage that has been inflicted is still being assessed. But July the 23rd, when a man died in police custody in Nuh, in Faridabad, all the way 8 days later to that eruption is filled with public social media posts and streams by Mohammad Samar, by Bittu Bajrangi and others across platforms, with completely in the public eye, with many comments in those sections, in the comment section saying, goli pe goli chalegi, etc. People threatening each other, and yet preparations were not made, which leads to the disturbing question, was this negligence or was this complicity? If you go onto social media now, viewer, you will see angry voices everywhere. Even as we bring you this broadcast, I'm looking at comments by angry social media users saying, how can you call it both sides? It was only one side. And this is happening from both sides. There are both sides finger pointing at each other saying, you started it. This was not a communal clash. This was a communal attack. The fact remains that 6 people have died, and India Today continues to be the only channel naming all 6 of them. And you'll see their names here on India Today. I want to go across to India Today's Anmol Bali as well as Amit Bhardwaj, 2 fearless reporters who've been on the ground reporting overnight and through the day on this unfolding story. Anmol, coming to you quickly first, the social media aspect is something that nobody has touched upon properly yet, because there has been lack of clarity about what is real and what is fake news. Now, this India Today investigation by Ankit Bhardwaj, by Ankit Kumar, has confirmed to us that things started at least 8 days before the violence erupted, Anmol. 8 days of social media poison.
It was all building up, Shiv, as you can see on the social media. Both sides were building up. Various videos were published. Hello. Is my voice audible?
We can hear you, Anmol. Go ahead.
Yeah. Various social media posts were seen on the internet, on the various social media platforms by the both groups. They were threatening each other. A video also came from the Monu Manesar, where he said that he'll be part of the procession, where he also said he also asked his team members and other Bajrang Dal workers to become part of the procession. And from that moment, the build-up has started on the social media for the procession. And yes, the violence took place because of rumors on the social media by the both groups. Shiv.
Okay, let's bring in Amit as well, because Amit has been tracking protests that have been taking place in different parts of the national capital today, of the Bajrang Dal as well. There's Amit, he's also there, with us. Amit, the social media aspect, you've been traveling through all of these affected zones. The social media aspect of it is something that has been ignored so far, like I was discussing with both Ankit and Anmol, because of the amount of fake news and the amount of tutu meme and finger pointing that was taking place. The VHP and the Bajrang Dal point fingers at the Muslim locals of Nuh and say they are responsible. They say that the Bajrang Dal are the original, provocators as far as this is concerned. But what seems to be established now is that both sides were indulging in this fanning of the fury on social media, and it was only a matter of time before it became a part of the real world.
Well, absolutely right, Shiv. The stage was set for all this that has unfolded in Nuh and now in several parts of Haryana. And I would say, and you would also recall as to how the breeding ground was created on social media, not only around this specific time zone, but also for the past several months. Remember the kind of mosque controversy that had unfolded in Gurugram, in this particular zone. So all this is stemming from the hate which has been peddled on the social media accounts, be it Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all different platforms have been used. So the stage was set, and it was just a matter of a matchstick hitting the gunpowder which was lying there, and eventually the entire communal violence unfolded in Nuh, which later spread on in Gurugram, and now it has affected different other parts of Haryana as well. And Shiv, it is quite interesting. In Manesar, I'm standing right now. There's a Bhishma Das Mandir right behind me, and apparently Section 144 has been imposed in several parts of Haryana, including Nuh, Manesar, and several parts of Gurugram as well. But right here in this temple, you could see several of these activists from the Hindutva groups have assembled here in big numbers. So that is also a question as to how the police is allowing that to happen. And earlier in the day as well, we had seen as to how the VHP, the Bajrang Dal, the other Hindutva groups had managed to stage protests not only across the national capital, but also across India, and specifically across North India. And in fact, the national highway on Delhi-Faridabad border that was blocked. VHP's Alok Kumar had himself led the protesters there, and speaking to India Today, he had said that he had in fact hit out at MOS Rao Indrajit Singh for asking a question that as to how several people in the procession, Hindu procession, were carrying sticks and other weapons. So on the other side, you also have VHP International President Alok Kumar saying that, Rao Indrajit Singh is only looking at the sticks being carried out by the Hindu pilgrims, but he is not pointing out at the guns that were being used by the other group, that is the Muslim groups in Nuh. So clearly, the battleground that has been created in Haryana right now,
yes,
the ground for that was, the breeding ground for that was built on social media. Back to you, Shiv.
Definitely on social media. Anmol and Amit, continue to stay with me. I have a couple more questions for both of you. But before that, a quick roundup of the top developments in Haryana. It's a rapidly unfolding story. Lots of developments. Here is what it's like. It's day 4 of when violence first broke out at Delhi's doorstep. This India Today investigation impact is something that I want to report to you very quickly. Viewer, Haryana's Home Minister Anil Vij has taken note of the India Today sting operation that we broke on the news yesterday, uncovering glaring lapses in Nuh and Mewat by the BJP government. The Haryana government has taken the tapes that India Today has provided it with and will be initiating a probe against the officers. Haryana's Chief Minister has vowed strict action against rioters and says accused will be made to pay for all damage caused so far. Does that mean bulldozers? We don't know. When questioned about cow vigilante Monu Manesar, Khattar claims that the hunt for Monu is on and his whereabouts are still unknown. Meanwhile, Haryana's Nuh district remains gripped by uneasy tension for the 3rd consecutive day, and a curfew has been extended. While 41 FIRs have been registered so far, 116 persons have been arrested and 190 detained in Nuh alone. Hindu groups, the VHP and Bajrang Dal, have raised temperatures in the national capital region. Elsewhere, in the wake of the Nuh communal clashes, protesters blocked the Delhi-Haryana border in Badarpur, while protests were also held in adjoining Noida, Uttarakhand's Dehradun and Haryana's Panipat. Meanwhile, Monu Manesar, who the police claim they have no idea where he is at the epicenter of what's been taking place. The lynching accused spoke to India Today and refuted allegations that he was present at the yatra in Haryana's Nuh. Not just that, Monu also pinned the blame on Congress MLA Mamman Khan, accusing him of originally instigating all the violence that has taken place. On India Today, we don't just report the news, we are also investigating what may have happened amidst overwhelming evidence that there has been not just negligence but dereliction of duty and possibly complicity as well. This is a huge India Today Impact viewer. Less than 24 hours after India Today broadcast our special sting operation revealing the glaring lapses in the Haryana Police and Haryana government, the state's Home Minister today has told India Today that the Haryana Police will probe India Today's special investigation. Our tapes have been handed over to the government. Home Minister Vij says he has seen the India Today investigation and has asked the police to probe all the findings put forward in this sting investigation. Here's India Today's Rahul Kanwal grilling the Haryana Home Minister.
विज साहब, आपने देखा होगा हमने इंडिया टुडे पे आज तक पे एक तहकीकात दिखाई जिसमें जो स्थानीय सीआईडी है वो कह रही है कि उन्होंने प्रशासन को, पुलिस के तंत्र को 8-10 दिन पहले बताया था कि इस तरह गौरक्षक जो हैं, जो काऊ विजिलेंटेज हैं, उनकी एक ये यात्रा निकलने वाली है और उसके बारे में सावधान रहने की ज़रूरत है। सवाल आपसे जो देश पूछना चाहता है वो ये कि वहाँ पे होमगार्ड की तैनाती थी, हरियाणा होमगार्ड की तैनाती थी, लेकिन आपकी रैपिड एक्शन पुलिस फोर्स, जो आपकी सेंट्रल आर्म्ड पुलिस फोर्स है, उनकी आपने तैनाती क्यों नहीं की? इतने कम पुलिस वाले क्यों थे जब ये यात्रा वहाँ से निकल रही थी और ये वायलेंस हो रहा था?
देखिए, ऐसा है, वो ऑडियो वीडियो मैंने भी सुनी है और उसको मैंने भेज दिया है डिपार्टमेंट को उसकी जांच कराने के लिए कि क्या उसने इनपुट दी थी, कहाँ इनपुट दी थी, किसको इनपुट दी थी, वो देखना ज़रूरी है। देखिए, ये यात्रा हर साल निकलती है और वहाँ पर जो हो सकता है कि लोकल जो प्रशासन है उसको कोई सूचना दी हो और उसके मुताबिक उन्होंने उसके इंतज़ाम कर दिए हों। जहाँ तक मैंने जानकारी हासिल की है, जितनी पुलिस पिछले सालों में लगाई जाती थी उतनी ही इस बार भी वहाँ पर लगाई गई है।
नहीं, पर फिर भी आपने देखा होगा कि वहाँ पे आर्म्ड पुलिस, मेरे को जो बताया गया, जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन में निकल के आया कि 2 किलोमीटर की दूरी पे आरएएफ रैपिड एक्शन फोर्स थी, उसको तैनात नहीं किया गया। ये जो होम गार्ड्स हैं जिनके पास हथियार भी नहीं होते, वो बेचारे खड़े हुए हैं इतनी बड़ी तादाद में। आपको मालूम था कि इस तारीख को यात्रा निकलने वाली है, फिर भी तैनाती की थोड़ी कमी थी सर।
नहीं, देखिए, ये अब प्रदेश में स्थानीय स्तर पर कई कार्यक्रम होते रहते हैं, सबकी जानकारी हमारे तक नहीं आती है, तो वहाँ पर स्थानीय प्रशासन ही अपने जो इनपुट होता है उसके हिसाब से इंतज़ाम करते हैं। क्योंकि मामला ये इतना बड़ा हो गया तो इमीडिएटली फिर हमें पुलिस भेजनी पड़ी है आजू बाजू के सभी ज़िलों से, गुड़गांव से, झज्जर से, फरीदाबाद से, रेवाड़ी से, सारी पुलिस हमने फिर वहाँ पर भेजी जब ये मामला हो गया। पहले तो रूटीन जैसे जिले में आम कार्यक्रम होते रहते हैं उसी प्रकार से ये कार्यक्रम हो रहा था।
And 3 days after that violence erupted, the tension continues. Big revelations in the FIR accessed by India Today are now going to play out in this report. You'll be hearing many of these details for the first time. The police say Pakistan Zindabad slogans were raised. Bajrang Dal VHP workers took to the streets of Delhi, blocked key national highways today. But who's responsible for this deadly mess? And even more importantly, who's responsible for protests happening even today? Why are they still being allowed?
Haryana simmers. Uneasy calm in Nuh. Parts of Gurugram burn. There's no sign of normalcy in the violence-hit zone, even 3 days after communal violence flared up.
अभी तक 116 लोगों को अरेस्ट किया गया है और 90 इसके अतिरिक्त और डिटेन किए गए हैं। पूछताछ करने के बाद उनके खिलाफ भी कार्रवाई जो बनेगी वो सब की जाएगी। सारा जो विषय आया है, इसके पीछे किसका हाथ है, कैसे शुरू हुआ, इन सब बातों के ऊपर भी प्रोसेस चल रही है। उस सारी प्रोसेस में कोई भी दोषी है उसको बख्शा नहीं जाएगा।
India Today accessed the FIR where many stinging revelations were made. Police say there were 800 to 900 people who chanted Pakistan Zindabad slogans while marching towards the Shiv temple. It's the same temple where 2,500 people were held hostage on 31st July. Police FIR mentions that the mob marched towards the yatra with sticks and guns, and petrol bombs were even hurled at the yatra.
नूह में 41 FIR है, उसमें 116 आदमी पकड़े गए हैं। इसके अलावा नूह में अभी 90 आदमी और भी हमने डिटेन किए हैं, उनसे भी हम पूछताछ कर रहे हैं उनका क्या इन्वॉल्वमेंट है, और जो संलिप्त पाए जाएंगे उनके खिलाफ भी जो है उन्हें अरेस्ट किया जाएगा, उनके खिलाफ कानूनी कार्रवाई की जाएगी।
पुलिसकर्मी जो शोभा यात्रा में शामिल होते हैं वो एक के बाद एक भीड़ को रोकने के लिए हवाई फायरिंग शुरू कर देते हैं, लेकिन भीड़ रुकती नहीं है। लेकिन एफआईआर में जो चौंकाने वाला खुलासा हुआ है वो खुलासा ये हुआ है कि ये जो खेत आप देख पा रहे हैं मंदिर के आसपास और ये जो पहाड़ी देख पा रहे हैं, इन पहाड़ी इलाकों से जो उपद्रवी हैं 600 से 700 के लगभग जो उपद्रवी थे वो पाकिस्तान जिंदाबाद के नारे लगाते हुए अवैध हथियारों से फायरिंग करते हैं।
The Bajrang Dal and VHP workers upped the ante against communal violence that rocked Haryana. The Hindu group stormed the streets of the national capital, blocking key national highway connecting Haryana's Faridabad with Delhi.
Right there you can see in your visuals, these are Bajrang Dal Karyakartas, Vishwa Hindu Parishad Karyakartas who have blocked the Badarpur Toll Plaza, which is the connecting point between the national capital and Faridabad of Haryana. And right there you have the Bajrang Dal Karyakartas sloganeering, holding Bhagwa flags and sitting on the road, literally blocking the lane which heads towards the national capital.
ये सब बातें बहुत समय से मीडिया में आ रही थी, सोशल मीडिया में। उसका ध्यान क्यों नहीं दिया गया मैं नहीं जानता। पुलिस की तैयारी क्यों नहीं थी। इंटेलिजेंस का फेलियर है। हमको हरियाणा की सरकार ने वचन दिया है कि जो जिम्मेवार अधिकारी हैं वो भी बख्शे नहीं जाएंगे।
Not just Delhi, the Hindu group workers staged massive protests in Haryana's Panipat, Uttarakhand's Dehradun, and adjoining Noida was put on high alert. 6 people were killed in the violence that nobody foresaw. But who's at fault? Bureau Report, India Today.
The lives of innocent bystanders, people who were in the crossfire, people who were part of the procession, snuffed out by the hate and the communal violence that gripped Delhi suburbs of Gurugram and Nuh in the Mewat region of Haryana. Take a look at this report, and these are the 6 faces. And things are still so raw and still so new that we don't even have pictures of the victim number 6. But take a look at these faces, because these are the people who've lost their lives. Guru Sevak Singh is victim number 1. He was a home guard. Neeraj Kumar was also a home guard. Abhishek Rajput was part of that procession. Shakti Singh was a shopkeeper. He was also there. Maulana Hafiz Saad was the Imam of a mosque in Gurugram which was attacked. He was also killed on the same night as the no violence breaking out. And then you have victim number 6 who hasn't been identified yet and his picture isn't out. These are the faces of who has truly paid with their lives for what happened. Take a look at this report.
Shooting, stone pelting, arson, vandalism. The mindless violence that gripped Nuh and Gurugram on the suburbs of the national capital for 2 days took 6 lives. Among the victims are both communities. Bajrang Dal worker Abhishek Rajput was allegedly shot dead. His throat was allegedly slit with a sharp weapon.
ऐसी चीज तो देखो होनी नहीं चाहिए थी बिल्कुल भी। बाकी जैसी घटना हुई सरकार जांच करेगी इसके खिलाफ, अन्याय चाहिए जी।
इंसाफ चाहिए ना, जैसे मारा गया ऐसे उनको फांसी दो, उसे मारो।
बहुत अच्छा लड़का था,
किस चीज़ का नहीं था, बहुत अच्छा था, परिवार में अकेला था। और हमने न्याय चाहिए, जांच चाहिए, सख्त कार्रवाई चाहिए, सख्त सख्त चाहिए।
Among the mourners standing by the victim's family was Abhishek's partner and best friend Mohsin, a Muslim.
5-6 साल थे, साथ में थे जी। वैसे कोई वो नहीं है, फर्क नहीं समझा मड़ा अभी उसने मैंने भी, बस मेरे भाई ने न्याय दिलाओ, बस मेरे तो यही वो है जी बस।
Muhammad Hafiz Saad, the Naib Imam of the Anjuman Jama Masjid in Gurugram, posted this song on social media calling for communal harmony. On Monday night, he was killed by a riotous mob that targeted the masjid.
हमारा और एक के बीच में जो है इस तरीके का हादसा हुआ और हमारे बच्चे को जो है वहाँ चाकू और गोलियों से जो है भून दिया, और मेरा वही एक जरिया था, वही एक सहारा था।
With families and loved ones of the victims of the communal clashes mourn their loss, we the citizens have a duty. We need to rise above hate. Bureau Report, India Today.
And coming up after this very short break, the violence that has been triggered in Haryana. We decode the Monu Manesar factor next. Where is Monu Manesar? If he is such an integral part of what happened, why hasn't he been hunted down just yet? That's next.
India today is at ground zero in Torbang, and the situation is so vulnerable. Simultaneously, there is accusation of using sophisticated weapons, but these young boys risking their lives and using these single barrel gun and double barrel gun.
We love our land and our village, that's why we sacrifice our life.
No one could ever imagine that in a state, in the same country, in the same district, we will ever see such situation which has become a battlefield, and I could say this is a war zone in Manipur.
Grounded in journalism, on the ground reporting, only on India Today TV.
On this investigation, which shows that the local administration and the police had been forewarned that there was this yatra passing through communally sensitive areas, that security needed to be beefed up, and yet for some inexplicable reason the inputs which were available were not acted on. People with weapons, sticks, throwing stones were allowed to take out this yatra, and mayhem broke out in Mewat. As someone who comes from the state, what do you think really went wrong, Mr. Surjewala?
I have been repeatedly saying that the violence in Nuh Manesar and Gurugram is actually state manufactured. It is failure of political leadership of Chief Minister Mr. Manohar Lal Khattar. Three things stand out. Number one, there was a LIU report, that is intelligence report, saying such an incident is bound to happen. Number two, the infamous goon Monu Manesar was a part thereof. Any sensible government would have either arrested him in anticipation of violence or at least would not have permitted him to participate here. Number three, the superintendent of police of Nuh was on leave. When you knew such a sensitive thing was happening, you had a report that violence will take place. You did not even call the rapid action force, which is situated only 2 kilometers away. That means in order to gain political mileage, the BJP, JJP government was actually permitting this violence to happen. And Rahulji, may I point out to you, we know that over 100 people died in the Arakshan agitation when the caste war happened in Haryana under the watch of Mr. Manohar Lal Khattar. He turned out to be a political beneficiary of the same in the last assembly election. Now, for the first time in 75 years history of India, a communal flare-up is happening in Haryana, something that is alien to Haryana. We are peace living, we have cohabitated with the Mewat people. There never been any clashes. In fact, in the pre-partition day, Haryana portion was the only portion of India when, despite there being overwhelming Muslim population, there was never a communal clash.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Annyeonghaseyo from Seoul, Korea. Hello and welcome to Tech Today. I'm your host Ayush Alavadi and we're coming to you from Seoul at Samsung Galaxy Unpacked. And it's time to unpack. Of course, it's that time of the year again when Samsung reveals their ecosystem with two flagship devices which are in my hand right now. The Flip 5 and the Fold 5. Now, usually the headline grabber happens to be the Fold 5, and this one sort of, well, comes in and hides in between all the details. But let's give it its due importance this time because there's monumental changes with this device. Incremental here because the Fold was already a top dollar premium flagship. Yes, it had a great camera, the camera kept getting better, so there's incremental innovations. For example, better peak brightness. One major change is when you open and close the hinge, it's a lot smoother. These colors look nice as well. The camera has features from the S23 Ultra. That's because now it has a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. So it comes with those capabilities which are in its flagship S23 Ultra, which will change come, well, February when the next S24 Ultra comes in. But for now, this can take on perhaps the iPhone 14 Pro Max from the Android world. And yes, guess what? It folds. It has a bunch of other features as well, of course, with Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. And yes, a better camera, the display is a little better, and the phone looks good. Honestly, a small iteration or a change from the previous Fold. But this time, they mean business with the Flip. Look, we were talking about it last week on Tech Today, how we've seen the evolution of flip phones in 2023. First came the Flip 4 with just a minimal notification, some selective widgets, and you didn't have that much functionality on the external cover display. But then came the Oppo Flip, which we got you live from the launch event in London. And after that came the Moto Razr 40 Ultra a couple of weeks ago, which has the biggest external display you've seen on a flip phone ever. Now, Samsung has really caught up, but it's not only about the size of the external display, it's also the functionality of this particular display. You can do a lot more things on it. You get a bunch of widgets as well, and it's a very smooth, intuitive UI. If you can actually use a flip device from this external cover display without even opening a flip device, it becomes a utilitarian, pragmatic option for you. So you're going to get the full review on Tech Today, but there's other devices launched as well. There is, of course, the S9 series, the tablet, very smooth 120Hz displays. I really think this is Samsung really taking the fight to Apple. They come with water and dust resistance, so does the S Pen. And we've had, well, an interesting first impression of this device, but again, we'll have to bring you a lot more once we have this, not here in Korea, but back in the Tech Today studios in Mumbai. But flagship specs ready to take on the iPad Airs and the iPad Pros.
If the trigger point for what happened in Haryana can be boiled down to two faces, then it would be the faces of two men, namely Bittu Bajrangi and Mohammad Samar. Both people on two sides of a communal divide that has resulted in the deaths of 6 people so far in the communal clashes that started on the 31st of July. But the seeds of unrest were sowed days before, at least 8 days before the eruption. And India Today's investigation has revealed that the fires of hate were fanned very much on social media. If there can be two faces to what triggered the horrors in Mewat, take a close look at these two men that we have on your screens right now. Bittu Bajrangi and Mohammad Samar. It was their social media posts that raised temperatures to a terrifying degree, resulting in this eruption. Each side says it was the other side that provoked first. There are some that say the other side didn't provoke at all. But Bittu Bajrangi gave a call for mobilization, putting out videos saying, "Main Mewat aa raha hoon," and warning "Goli pe goli chalegi." A provocative call was concealed in an invitation to the Bajrang Dal's annual Shobha Yatra through Mewat. The provocation triggered a response from a Muslim local, Mohammad Samar in Nuh, who instigated his followers to break limbs and then pretend that the attack was in self-defense. He too called for his followers to bring their friends to Nuh. The first seeds were planted in a cyber fraud case in Faridabad, however, a few days before the tension. It was this man, the death of Shaikul Khan, 30 years old, on the 23rd of July in Faridabad police custody that actually set off a chain reaction of social media posts that resulted and erupted on the 31st of July, 8 days later. Remember, Nuh has emerged as a massive epicenter for cybercrime and online scams, and the death of a man in custody, a Muslim man in custody, is now believed to be the one key trigger point that resulted in a chain of social media posts, each one more provocative than the other, both from either side, fanning temperatures, fanning flames, raising the fever pitch of anger and poison to such a level that things reached a head on the 31st of July. During that Shobha Yatra, stones were pelted and 6 people have died between Nuh and Gurugram. But this is to tell you, viewer, that it all started on social media. Joining me live now to go through some of the findings of this and get their views on it, Vishnu Gupta is National President of the Hindu Sena. Saira Shah Halim is a well-known activist. Welcome to you both. Thank you for being with us. Saira, I'd like to come to you first. You've seen a part of our investigation, and we'll be playing out more of it in the in the hours ahead. We'll also have more information about the social media posts, but it looks very much like this was far from being a spontaneous attack. It was far from being one-sided. It was something that was aggravated through social media, through provocative social media posts, for over 8 days before it erupted on the 31st of July. Saira.
Right. Yes, Shiv. So one thing I'd like to make it very clear, even if it started off on social media, isn't it the job of the authorities to quell tempers? Isn't it the job of the authorities to take actions against any particular person, or be it a group, be it a political group or a fringe group, to stop it, to ban and to ensure that these things don't happen? But then, the role of the authorities is in question here, because why did this issue escalate? That it has become a full-fledged riot. 6 people, more than 6 people have died, including 2 police personnel. A mosque has been torched. There's been a complete backlash. You look at various areas. Section 144 has been imposed. Delhi is tense. Gurugram is tense. Whole of that Delhi, Gurgaon, Haryana belt is tense. So for a social media post, so here we need to understand that it might have started, the trigger point might have been 2 individuals. But what has the government done? what has the police establishment done?
Yeah,
What are the enforcement agencies doing? Why did they let an incident on social media? Why did they allow it to flare up? That became a communal outburst, that became a religious riot. So I think here the authorities need to be pulled up. They need to be asked some very tough questions because
And let me tell you that India Today is the only channel asking those tough questions to the Haryana government. We've just grilled the Home Minister as well. I'll come to the part of accountability of the Haryana government and the police, which is very important in just a moment. I want to focus for the moment right now on what we found in these social media posts. Vishnu Gupta, आपका क्या कहना है इस पर? जो सोशल मीडिया में जो चल रहा था एक हफ्ते के लिए, जुलाई 23 को लेकर जुलाई 31 तक, विष्णु गुप्ता, काफी सोशल मीडिया पे भड़काऊ चीज चल रही थी दोनों साइड से। दोनों साइड बोल रहे हैं कि एक ही साइड से चल रहा था, लेकिन अगर हम ये फेसबुक के स्ट्रीम्स देखेंगे, इंस्टाग्राम के स्ट्रीम्स देखेंगे विष्णु जी, ये तो साबित होता है कि दोनों साइड से काफी प्रोवोकेटिव चीज बोले जा रहे थे।
जी, ऐसा है, दोनों साइड से ऐसा जब काम चल रहा था और वहाँ की लोकल पुलिस और जितने भी विभाग होते हैं पुलिस के, वो सभी लोगों ने उस पर नजर रखी। पुलिस को उस समय भी उस पर कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए थी, क्योंकि भड़काऊ भाषण या भड़काऊ बयानबाजी कहीं से भी होती है तो वो आगे भविष्य में चल के नुकसानदायक होती है। वही भड़काऊ भाषण, भड़काऊ बयानबाजी आगे दंगे में तब्दील होगी। और मैं मेवात की हिस्ट्री में बताना चाहता हूँ, जो लोग दूर दराज के हैं, जो मेवात को नहीं जानते हैं, मैं बताना चाहता हूँ, मेवात आतंकवाद का गढ़ बन चुका है और दिल्ली और एनसीआर में अपराध का गढ़ है। जितने भी बड़े अपराध और अपराधी और जितने भी बड़े कांड टाइप जो होते हैं, वो सब के तार मेवात के यहाँ से जुड़े होते हैं और वहां कोई भी पुलिस आसानी से वहां कार्रवाई भी नहीं कर सकती। इसलिए दिल्ली के भी कुछ छोटे मोटे केस और छोटा मोटा जितना भी फ्रॉड होता है वो मेवात से ही होता है। वहां पुलिस जाते हुए भी डरती है। इसीलिए ये जो दंगा हुआ है इसमें लोकल पुलिस का बिल्कुल फेलियर है और मैंने इसीलिए माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी को पत्र भेजा है आज और कहा है एसपी और डीएम और वहां के डीसी को बर्खास्त किया जाए तत्काल। ये मैंने मांग की है और मैं मानता हूं यहाँ पे लोकल प्रशासन की बहुत बड़ी फेलियर है, बहुत बड़ी फेलियर है। और भड़काऊ बयानबाजी यदि कहीं से भी हो रही थी, जो आप दिखा रहे हो, अभी भी मैं मीडिया में देख रहा हूँ, लेकिन पुलिस ने समय रहते हुए कार्रवाई क्यों नहीं की? क्यों नहीं उन लोगों को अरेस्ट किया गया? और जहां तक मोनू मानेसर का सवाल है, मोनू का एक वीडियो सामने आया है, मोनू ने कहीं भी उसमें भड़काऊ बयानबाजी बोली है तो मुझे एक भी छोटी सी क्लिप आप मुझे दिखा दो जिसमें मोनू ये बोल रहा है कि हम मुसलमानों को धमकी दे रहा है या कहीं और दंगा करने की बात कर रहा है। भाई, दंगा करने की बात और धमकी देने की बात सिर्फ वहां दूसरे पक्ष की ओर से आ रही है, जिन्होंने मेवात को गढ़ बना दिया है जिहाद का। उनके खिलाफ कानून सख्त कार्रवाई करने में नाकाम रहा है।
लेकिन अगर आप बिट्टू बजरंगी के वीडियोस देखेंगे विष्णु जी, उसमें भी काफी भड़काऊ बयान तो है ही। बिट्टू बजरंगी जो है बजरंग दल के,
सुनिए, भड़काऊ बयान है तो मैं यहाँ कहना चाहता हूँ, भड़काऊ बयान है तो उस समय रहते हुए कार्रवाई क्यों नहीं की गई?
हाँ बिल्कुल, इस पे मैं सहमत हूँ, इस पे मैं सहमत हूँ। सायरा,
मुसलमान हो,
Saira, Vishnu Gupta says exactly what you said, which is that if all these videos were happening, there should have been some kind of crackdown on these people, whether it was Mohammad Samar, whether it was Bittu Bajrangi or whoever it is. So the question arises, as far as the Haryana police or government is concerned, whether this was negligence or complicity. It's a reasonable doubt to have now.
Absolutely. Now, another thing, forget about who put what on social media. Take the irresponsibility of our political leaders. Look at the Haryana Home Minister, Anil Vij. He is giving such blatant, misleading statements that 3,000, 4,000 people were held hostage by Muslim rioters in a temple, at the Nalha Mahadev temple, when the priests clearly refuted that claim. And here, people outside, a police station are making inflammatory comments and telling them to boycott a particular community. So now, when these self-proclaimed religious leaders or people of a political party, be it, positions of authority like the Home Minister, CM, or whoever it might be, if you're giving misleading statements which gets refuted, this will further add fuel to the fire. Then you've seen how these incidents trigger up, and vehicles were torched. There were incidents of shops that were vandalized, that were burned down, and it's all it happened in the vicinity of Haryana, Delhi, Gurugram, and all these adjoining areas. No, I mean, look at even the posh colonies. Even they are tense. The cops have to double up their role because
Saira, what about what Vishnu Gupta just talked about, which is about how Nuh has become an epicenter for cybercrime and online scams. That is something that is also difficult to ignore. क्योंकि इस दंगे में one police station, a cybercrime police station, has been destroyed by rioters. We now see that, the possible trigger point for this entire violence was on July the 23rd. Possibly, when a Muslim man died in police custody in Faridabad, on cyber fraud charges. So, that part of it also cannot be ignored. What Vishnu Gupta is saying is that this entire place has become a huge epicenter of cybercrime and no action has been taken.
See, cybercrime is a separate issue. Definitely, it requires that it deserves. However, we need to also look at these sporadic attacks that are happening across India. Look at what happened at the Rajasthan Express. A constable has shot down 4 people in broad daylight. So we cannot segregate this incident or that incident. Let me be very clear that the marginalized communities, the minorities communities are being attacked, and it's very convenient for political gains, and it's very convenient to blame it on them, whereas it might have been a trigger point. There might be 2 people putting up political posts or incendiary posts on social media. Why didn't these posts get checked?
I agree with that.
Take strict action, because that was the trigger point, and the issue got escalated. And there's so many people that are affected. There are 6 people who have died in these religious riots in Haryana. There have been 4 people who died on the Jaipur Express train. Manipur is burning. I mean, now seriously, heads need to roll. It's
Vishnu Gupta
more than enough.
जी
बोलिए, आप क्या बोलेंगे इस पर?
ऐसा है, सेपरेट इशू नहीं है। मैं यहाँ ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि जितने भी गलत काम हो रहे हैं, जितना भी क्राइम हो रहा है, वो सब मेवात से हो रहा है। मेवात से उसके तार जुड़े होते हैं। जितनी भी गाड़ियां चोरी होती हैं, जितनी भी आतंकवाद में भी आप देखोगे, बहुत सारे स्पेशल सेल के भी लोग वहां जाके कार्रवाई नहीं कर पाते हैं। ये बहुत दुर्भाग्य, क्योंकि मेवात जो है उनका गढ़ बन चुका है, और मेवात में गढ़ बनने के बाद वो ये सोचते हैं कि वहां के हिंदू, बहुत सारी घटनाएं आपने देखा होगा, हिंदू वहां के मुसलमानों से दबके रहे, वहां अपनी शोभा यात्राएं ना निकालें। भाई क्यों ना निकालें? हिंदुस्तान है, वो पाकिस्तान थोड़ी नहीं है, ठीक है? तो वहां शोभा यात्राएं निकल रही थी, तो उसमें दिक्कत क्या थी? और इसीलिए मैं ये भी कहना चाहता हूँ, शोभा यात्रा को सफलतापूर्वक से निकालने की जिम्मेदारी वहां के लोकल पुलिस प्रशासन की थी, जो वहां फेलियर हो चुका है। उनकी जिम्मेदारी बनती थी कि यात्रा को सफलतापूर्वक सफल बनाएं।
I want to say that the one thing the 3 of us agree on, and Vishnu and Saira, thank you for being with me, is that the person in the dock is Haryana's Chief Minister ML Khattar, the police chief, the local police in Nuh in the Mewat region, because there has been an absolutely criminal dereliction of duty. If all of these social media posts were known, as we've revealed for the first time here on India Today, why was no action taken? Each of these people were easily identifiable. Their addresses would have been known easily to the police. This could have been avoided. 6 people could have been saved. And who knows how much damage, it's still being assessed. That's how bad it really is. Who's going to pay for all that damage now is the big question. Why didn't the Haryana police act earlier? We will continue to ask that question. Thanks for watching this edition of 5 Live. I'll see you at the same time tomorrow, 6 p.m. with Akshita. Comes up next. The Haryana FIRs tell a truly horrifying story. Much more horrifying than what you've seen so far. Akshita brings that to you next.
Foxconn is on a roll in India. The Taiwanese contract manufacturer, the biggest in the world, seems intent on making India its second manufacturing hub outside of China. Fresh from inking an MOU worth 1600 crore rupees with Tamil Nadu for a factory to manufacture mobile phone components in the state, Foxconn is now looking at driving into India with plans to manufacture a low-cost electric vehicle. According to a report, Foxconn EV platform unit, Mobility in Harmony or MIH, is looking at partners to build its new 3-seater EV priced below the $20,000 mark. The vehicle will be tailor-made for a corporate delivery fleet. MIH has been in talks with convenience stores, car rental companies and courier companies ahead of unveiling its first prototype EV at Japan's largest auto trade show in October. Foxconn is reportedly considering India and Thailand for production sites. MIH plans to start production of the 3-seat EV about 18 to 24 months after the prototype is unveiled in October. A 6-seat EV is scheduled to follow in 2024 and 9-seat model in 2025. According to Jack Cheng, CEO of MIH, India will be crucial to the company's longer-term growth, calling India potential emerging power of the next generation in the EV sector. A sentiment echoed last week by the CEO of the parent company at Semicon 2023.
Building an ecosystem for chips in India is for the very brave. Every experience only positions companies stronger going forward. Where there is a will, there is a way. I can feel the determination of the Indian government. I'm very optimistic of where it will be headed. Prime Minister Modi once mentioned to me that IT stands for India and Taiwan. Honorable Prime Minister, Taiwan is and will be your most trusted and reliable partner.
The reports of Foxconn EV plans come just days after Elon Musk-owned Tesla indicated that India may be the hub of its EV supply in APAC and Africa regions. Business Today TV had earlier broken the news that Tesla was also looking at manufacturing a $20,000 electric car in India, the cheapest in its portfolio. Bureau Report, Business Today Television.
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 39 and minimum 29 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 30 and minimum 26 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 31 and minimum 26 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 28 and minimum 20 degrees. Chennai, maximum 36 and minimum 28 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 29 and minimum 23 degrees.
LIC हर पल आपके साथ।
Communal flashpoint at Delhi's doorstep. Amidst the flames and rioting, India Today reporters